Hey, what up guys, it's Sol here, coming at you in another video. If you don't know who I am, I'm a 500 LP Grandmaster Peak Aurelion Sol one-trick. Today we're going to be talking about the art of W lines. So when I say W lines, all I'm talking about is the direction in which you take your W, as this is a huge fundamental in Aurelion Sol that a lot of people don't really pay attention to, and I really want to bring some light to it, as it pretty much makes or breaks the champion. Now obviously there's easy W lines and quote-unquote brain-dead W lines like this. And this. Damn, this champion's broken. What the fuck? And some of this. Smell that? You guys smell that? Funny one shot. Funny. So obviously you guys hear my voice in the background, and it's going to be played. All these clips are played on my Twitch, so please check out my Twitch in the description below. Also, subbing to the channel really helps me out a lot, as we're on our way to 20k subs. Okay, so obviously in those clips, they're pretty straightforward. All you do is just W towards the enemy and they just die. But there are a majority of W lines are really important in which the direction you take. So I want you guys to study this team fight right here, and I'll go more in depth after the clip. So here we are. It's just going to be a typical Elder fight. We are in a deficit here as they have Baron. Watch my W lines here. Oh, big. Big. Cool. So from the beginning of the clips that I showed you, those W lines really didn't matter. They were pretty much dead no matter what, due to me just being completely fed. But in scenarios like this, where I'm fed and I have to play well for this team fight and take good W lines, I want to show you guys exactly what I do here. So the fight starts up. And here we have this scenario, right? So the enemy team is clumped up here, and I'm in the pit here. So I want you to think about, like, what kind of W line would you take in this scenario? There are a couple of probably like 3 main ones you could take here, which would be to take a W line towards here, here, or here. So if you take this one right here, I mean, it's pretty bad. They have GP, they have Viego. You pretty much get instantly bursted. I do have Crown Up and Flash, and it's just not optimal. Like Alistar could WQ towards me, and I'm just dead, and I'm bursted. If we take this W line right here, it's like I'm away from my front line. Maybe to go well, like we don't have the R is being casted, as you can see, but we'd be separated from my team, which means I would have no peel. So the correct decision would be here. You only have one correct decision here, and if you're, I don't know, just a bad player and you decide to take one of these, it's just completely detrimental for your team, and we probably would have lost this fight here. So instead, we take this W line here, which is the first one. We take a nice W line towards here. What this does is we're in the tower, so it's kind of hard for the enemy to get on top of. We're also away from their main carry, GP, who can completely one-shot me, and we're kind of just queuing like this. I know there's a lot of mumbo-jumbo going on, but it's really important that we recognize that W lines actually matter. In this case, this first W line was pretty huge. So we take this W line right here. We're queuing. Oh, big. And then we get the reset. So we get the reset because this guy died. So instantly, it's pretty good. But we also still have to play the next W line pretty good because they have a GP and we can still lose the fight. If you look at my team's HP bars, we're all pretty low. So the next W line I take is pretty solid here as well, because not only... let's just watch, shall we? So we take a W line towards the Irelia because we just want to burst her down. But not only do we do that, we take a W line in which... if you look at GP's barrels, they're pretty much like all around the river. Like, you're guaranteed to get hit. But I took a W line in which kind of brought me to the next wall. So as you can see, there's a trend of kind of using walls as protection. So champions like GP, I mean, he can't put a barrel inside the wall. So if you look, what happens here? I actually am able to dodge both of these barrels by an optimal W line. And because of that, GP dies. I take no damage, and I burst him down again. And not only that, but we take another W line, which is a simple, straightforward W line towards the Jhin, and it ends up winning us the game, and we completely ace them. Here we have another team fight. I just want you to study it. Cool. So, another fight that we completely smurf on. What happens here is the fight starts, right? And Vi just starts to go toward me. We flash away from a Q, which is really good. And then as we take our first W line here, which, I mean, this one's pretty self-explanatory. This is, I would say, an easy W line to take. Most people would probably take this line in this situation. We burn his Hourglass, and we get a couple of procs onto the Jhin. He does unable to live, and we get the EQ onto the Vi. The W line I'm more concerned about is this line right here. So we know that Zilean and Jhin are low. Somewhere around here, we have no vision, like no vision at all. But we use our knowledge of W lines, and like a rule with W lines is generally, and most of the time, if you're chasing someone down, you want to be Wing towards the direction that they can run away from. For example, if we take a W line towards here, and Zilean and Jhin are here, where can they go? They can just run out this way and this way. Instead, I take the most optimal W line of going here, so that, if we play the clip, it ends up being perfect. So we see that Zilean is here. Imagine we take this W line here. This guy's out. He's out. Not only that, but Jhin is also here, somewhere here. So we don't get the W reset from killing Zilean, because if we take this, we don't kill Zilean, which means we don't kill Jhin, and which means we don't ace, which means we don't win this game. Like, the game is pretty close. I'm just the only fed person on my team. So just like little moments like these where, like, it's really important that you take good W lines throughout resets, because if you take one bad one, it ends up making you miss on a reset, which makes you miss on maybe 1 or 2 kills. So as you can see, we take the correct W line and Zilean dies, and then Jhin dies. So obviously, from a outside perspective, if you don't play Aurelion Sol, all you're looking at is Aurelion Sol flying towards you and pressing Q, which is fair. But guys, he's really deeper, and he has a lot more depth than you think, in which, like, take a W line too short, you won't kill. Take a W line too close, you'll die. Take a W line too far away. Like, you guys get the point. I have more examples though. So this is a in-lane example. I want you guys to watch what happens here in the W line I take. So she drops her CC abilities. I can't fly through their little rocks, but look at the W line we decide to take. Oh my god. Oh my. So let's go ahead and dissect that again. So what happens here is W lines are kind of complicated, in which you have to take the most optimal. Otherwise, you won't miss. You're going to miss out on a kill, which you've probably seen a trend without through the past two clips. But what we do here is, what would you guys do in this scenario? So you know that in this scenario, our health bar looks like this. We have R up, our W is up in 2, and this guy has no CC, because you guys just saw he used it. So if you want to go for this kill, what is the correct W line to take? Some people, or maybe newer Asol players, they go for something like this. In this case, the minions are just going to group around Talia, and your Q is just going to hit the minions, and this guy can just run away. Probably just run this way. Or you can just run down and walk out this way, because Akram's bot side. You can even just walk up here, because if he just walks this way, these minions will cover him and there's Q. So what I do here is I realize that he has the protection of these minions. So what we do here is we take this W line here. Now, in this scenario, right, this is probably the most optimal W line, because as you can see, even when I hit full combo here, we take this W line so that we're going to meet him around here and we can Q him this way. If we took this W line here, you can run up pretty easily. So just watch what happens. W, Q, Q, Q. So, like, we still even had to kill these 2 minions. And we also continue. Oh. So quite honestly, looking back at this, I might even think the other W line was more optimal. So maybe this is an example of a bad W line to take, because as you guys saw, we had to kill 2 minions. We had that plus 14 gold in order to start doing damage to this guy. So maybe if instead we took a W line, maybe sort of in the way here, so that we land the ER and we can instantly start hitting our Q on him without minions getting in the way. But I'm not sure how these minions would have interacted. Maybe they would have aggroed me and I would still have to kill 2. So it's just like that. It's just thinking about your W in ways like that. It's just like, like you have to find the perfect angle in order to kill this guy. In this case, like we had to even use our flash combo. If you guys don't know about that combo, by the way, you can extend your Q by flashing just like this. And it gets us the kill. So let's go ahead and look at another example here. Here's another team fight. Again, we'll just watch it. We take the W line towards the Evelyn.
Damn. Rip.
And I mean, we can even study this first W line. You hear me in the VOD saying like, I was a little disappointed with this W line because imagine in here, instead of Wing this way towards the Evelyn, what if instead I actually took the W line of this? I'm pretty sure we can just run this guy down. So this first W line was actually bad by me. So we watch again. And as you can see, I'm just queuing. I'm not in range of this guy. Maybe I could have even picked up a kill. But the point is this clip right here. So we get a nice combo. Really good ult by the mouth. But look at this W line right here and what this enables me to do. So we take this W line here, which is a straight path. But notice how it's not towards this guy. Or notice how it's not towards this guy. It's right in the middle of this guy because I realized my Q range. If I Q this way, I'll be in range to Q this guy. And once this guy is dead, I'll be in range to Q this guy. So watch what happens. So for the price of 2 Ws, I do it with the price of 1, meaning this. We get in range to kill this guy. Not only are we going to get in range to this guy, and we also are able to continue our line to get closer to this guy and drop our E. We wait for Evelyn's stun to come out. We dodge it. And we take the WQ. And actually ends up being another good W line in order for us to secure the Evelyn, as you can see. Watch. So, this guy flashes over the wall, right? So imagine if, like, instead of taking this W line right here, we took this W line right here. We would just be a little bit, maybe this guy still dies, but he could even just be a little bit outside of my Q range, and we miss out on this quadra kill here. So it's just like the little, like, tiny mouse movements that you can do and the accuracy in which you throw your W that will really separate the good Asols from the bad Asols, because a lot of you, or maybe some of you, would miss out on this kill, or even on the first 2 kills back in the example. So here's another example. It's just going to be a skirmish in the top lane here. I want you to watch another optimal W. Here's the little R shockwave, and then we take this nice clean W line here in which we're able to queue every single one of the enemies. So just watch. I mean, I think this W line is not that hard to solve. I like to think of W lines as problems to solve in certain scenarios. For this, in this example, we just take the head-on approach towards this Kaisa because I know I can burst him, which ends up being a pretty solid W line towards his tower so that we can queue this guy, and queue this guy. But maybe if you're new to Asol, you might even want to take like a steeper W line like this, in which like your W line ends here and maybe one of them can get out. Instead, I take it towards the tower and it ends up being just enough for me to kill all of them. Like, or maybe if you take this W line here because you don't really want to hard commit, maybe you'd miss out on the Nocturne. So it's just like picking the correct optimal W line, like 1, 2, and 3. And we choose this one. Boom, boom, boom. And they all die. A couple of more examples here. So this is a good scenario in which like kind of like roaming and ganking enemies. So I want you to picture. So let's say you're walking towards this LeBlanc here. What W line would you take? So I'm right here on the map, as you can see. Would you guys take a W line straight towards him? Would you take it maybe towards your Olaf because you think he might go in? Or would you even go like super deep behind him? What would you take? There is actually a correct answer, and it's going to be this W line right here. This is the thought process that you want to have when taking these lines in the side lanes and taking these roams, because if you look here, see what happens. So we take this W line right here. So LeBlanc has 2 options here. One, she can try and run out, in which she's going to meet me, and she's going to be taking my Q for a little bit. And in that case, I mean, she's pretty much almost guaranteed dead unless she is like W flash up. But in this scenario, I'm force her to walk towards this way and try and get a dash over the wall, and you're going to see how she reacts to this. So she says, oh crap, shit. Asol's here. I can't run up. I have to run down. And instead, she almost gets out, actually. She flashes over the wall, and I have to use my empowered R. But the point is, imagine if I took like a W line towards here. she would run out for sure. She has flash up. She has W and flash up. Imagine if I took a W line too far back, she could have ran this way, etc., etc., etc. It's really important that in these specific scenarios, you take the correct W line. Otherwise, you're going to miss out on a kill. Here's another example in a team fight. I'll just let it play through. Just holding for my R here. Drop the ER. Flash the Rek'Sai. We W towards Zillion again. Then we take this straight on W towards the enemies. And then we take a nice W line towards the Lux. So, I mean, this one is pretty simple. Like, I think the fight was won from my R straight out of the bat. But the point is, like, we're choosing the correct decisions in which we're Wing. So we W over the wall, kill that guy. And, like, I kind of, like, picture in my head, okay, how do I want to play this? Right. So this guy wants to run out. We have W up. This guy is pretty much dead. We already have this guy attacking him. So if no one goes for Zillion here, he is going to be able to live. So we take this first W line here because I said in my head, okay, this guy, I don't want this guy to live. So we go towards him. And now we have another decision here is if we go towards, we could take this W line towards here, or we could take this W line towards here, or we could walk up, take a W line down here. In this scenario, honestly, I wouldn't mind taking this W line right here because this guy is pretty low and I don't really want him to get away. And it seems like these guys are dead, but I don't know if I want to take the risk. So we ended up just taking this W line here, and then we took another W line straight towards Lux. Again, I'm about using walls to your advantage. So like normally, naturally, as a Lux player, you would want to use your CC abilities and abilities in general towards the open terrain, instead of going towards a wall, because normally champions can't go through walls. So with this in mind, I take this W line here. I'm just slightly going towards this way, and ends up being really good because I dodge a snare, and because I dodge a snare, I'm able to just pick up Lux here. As you guys can see, it's like there's a pattern in which you should be thinking about fights and how you should be using Ws. I also wanted to show you some technology as well and how you can utilize minions with your W. So if you guys look at the clip, you're probably looking like, nice, he didn't have R. This Ari's bad. He could have just charmed. But what I did here was I hard shoved the wave because I know that Ari has E. If you guys don't know what Ari does and what her E does, is that it's a CC, it's a charm. So if she CCs me during my flight, I get canceled. So what I do here is I hard shove the wave. And I posture a little bit towards this way because I want to take a W line that makes me stay inside protected around the minions from her charm as long as possible, which would be to walk a little bit here and take this W line right here. So we do this. This guy does have charm up, by the way. And as you can see, at no point does Ari have an angle to charm me because of this optimal line. As you can see, it really brought it down to the last 2 minions. She's never got an angle. Nice, he didn't have to hit that charm. So that's just something you guys can do with minions, like first champions like Xerath, Ari, maybe not Syndra. Not AoE stuns, but nice, like the Ari and like the Xerath. By the way, like even more information on this is going to be shown in the guide. So please subscribe to the channel. We're almost at 20,000 subs and the guide is coming out soon. So if you guys don't want to miss the full complete Aurelion Sol guide, click the sub button below. I'd really appreciate it. This clip is just kind of another example of redirecting enemies with W lines. So we walk up here and we bait out Ari's charm, which is like a big thing you want to be doing. First champions with charm is kind of walk up, kind of posture up, because if this guy uses his charm, he has nothing to cancel my W with. But after he takes this charm, we have a couple of W lines here. So one, we could take a head-on approach like this. But if we take a head-on approach, he can just walk towards his tower and he'll get out for free. But instead, we take this approach right here of Wing up so that if he decides to walk towards his tower, he's going to be face tanking my Q damage for quite a bit of time. So his only option is to either walk here or walk here because he can't walk towards his tower. Otherwise, he might just die straight up from my Q. So because I redirect him, he can't go to his tower here. He's forced to walk up. This actually ends up creating a kill angle for Sylas, who grabs her R. Dashy dash dash. Sylas, Sylas, Sylas. And we pick up a kill. And another tech that I want you to show you guys is also the art of canceling your W. In some matchups, like the Veigar matchup, I want you guys to watch what happens. He throws his cage down. I don't want to get stunned, so I cancel my W, get that last tick of Q, and drop my R to secure the kill. So this is just something you guys can do, is canceling W, which is, I wish I covered it more in this video, because for one, you can utilize canceling your W if you're going towards their tower and you still want to maintain your trade, but you don't want to take a tower shot. So just make sure to cancel your W right outside the tower range, but still maintain your Q. Pretty much just like how I showcased in this. I want to stay out of the range of getting hit by his stun. So before I even hit it, I just press W again while still maintaining Q in order to secure a kill. I think this kills him, right? Right. So basically, to conclude, you want to be taking optimal up W lines. You want to just be thinking in your head, okay, where are they going to go? Where should I W line? And you also want to be thinking ahead of time during team fights, okay, how would I use this reset? Where's this W going to take me? Can I live if I take this W? Just stuff like that and getting creative. This is just something I wanted to bring to light because I feel like people think Asol is like a super brain dead champ, but he actually does have some depth to him and stuff like this from my last video with Q angles and Q taps in lane. And now we're talking about W lines, and it just seems like you guys enjoy these type of videos. So I wanted to bring another video like my last one for you guys because you guys seem to really like it. So let me know if you guys want more videos like this. Maybe I'll do one on R's or optimal E's and just stuff like that. Also, again, I'd really appreciate you subbing to the channel as we're on our way to 20K. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you guys in the next one.